go, but so the Hopi with the Rainbow Warriors and this, and but it's together. Let me try. Like I only heard a little bit, so I can't. My words won't really do it justice. But I want to talk about the depth of what I heard in it. Is what this is. So, and this was I think John Trudeau, a Native American, and I believe it was. I think it was him. So anyway, but here's the snippet of the prophecy. It's at the beginning, the Great Spirit, when the Great Spirit created man and woman, created four different races. Uh, the yellow race, the white race, the black race, and the red race, right? So each of these groups of people were each given two tablets containing the knowledge that they were supposed to be responsible for, go out into the world, develop this knowledge, uh, really figure it out, and then at the end they would come together with the others and they would share this knowledge that they've gained, and then a new beginning would happen. So, excuse me. So the red race, and don't get hung up on race, please, or color or anything, but this is really just to get a conception of what this story is in the depth. And so the red race you could think of as the Indians or Native Americans, whatever. They were given the tablets with the knowledge of Earth and all that entails. So that would be responsible to go out, learn to live with the land, to live with nature, to grow food. And with that would also come the knowledge and understanding of the poisonous aspects of nature, what not to eat. All this very, very deep elemental knowledge, alchemical knowledge, if you will, just natural knowledge about Earth. So that's the red race. The black race was given the tablets with the knowledge of water. So all that entails. And if you want to think of darker skinned folk that live in deserts, say, that part of the world where it's more arid, there's more sand, it makes sense that they would be given that and have to develop that knowledge of water so they could survive, so they could, grow things, this and that. You need water to drink. You need water a lot more than you need food. So it makes sense. And then you can get into the seafaring and the travel and the this and that of kind of what's happened throughout time, supposedly. And it makes sense. And then the yellow folk were given the tablets with the knowledge of air. They're to be responsible for air. So if you think Asian folk, to me it ties together beautifully the air with time space, martial arts, learning that aspect of the physical form and how it operates in this environment and be able to move fluidly in this environment. So think martial arts, it makes sense, air. But with all that entails, air, all the other things, the way you can generate, that's a whole nother aspect, how you can generate energy from all of these elements in a natural way. It's another thing. That's another aspect. So with the white race, now you can think more of northern or climates that have winters. So the white race makes sense. They get the last one, fire. They get the knowledge of fire, and it makes sense. If you live in a place where it gets cold and this and that, you need fire, probably heat to survive sometimes in the elements. So makes sense. But think of all that entails with each of these elements. So you got earth, air, fire, water. You have the four elements. You have four groups of folk, very general group, but they kind of make up the world today. So if each group was assigned. Now, oh, let me get to the tablets. What's that? What's the tablets represent then? How's that tie in a little bit deeper? So the tablets having two tablets of knowledge, that's the dual aspect of this reality. Tie it together however you'd like. Life and death, male, female, because it takes male, female combining together to make another being. So, I mean, in the natural way. So, where was I going? Oh yeah, the duality, male, female, whatever, black, white, red, blue, it doesn't matter. Yeah, the duality aspect. So it's to fully understand especially the male and the female, because that's what we are. And those two energies combined to create us makes us both of those energies. See how there's confusion? Because there can be a split there in the mind and the perception about, am I this, am I that? You're both. Came together as both to make one of two types, unless there's an abnormality somehow. So I'm talking about in nature. So now, how does this tie together? Well, for me, if you want to look at it from just a general standpoint of knowledge, just that has been gained by folks throughout time, throughout experience, we all have all of this knowledge of earth, air, fire, water. We all have all of that same knowledge, because if we came from that same four different groups, well, then by now we're all nice and intermingled enough to where even if we were supposed to only be responsible for 1/4 of our natural life, which is not correct, we're supposed to be responsible for all. But anyway, if we were only supposed to be responsible for one aspect of understanding of our nature in this reality, well, by now, throughout the generations, everyone's intermingled enough to where I'm sure all of our genetics are so mixed together that we should all be all of those races all at the same time, which is the point. At one point, we were all the same. At one point, we'll all be the same again. Take it however you want. You only go through this existence once, I guess, and then you rejoin whatever we go to. I don't know what that is. I have no idea. But how does that tie together, again, now for me to the 1111 thing? Because, man, there sure is a lot of snake oil salesmen with this spirituality stuff and this new age stuff. It's ridiculous. People just taking people down rabbit holes. So anyway, let me get to the 1111 thing. For me, that makes, well, the 1111 in general, people say, it's a signpost. It's a wake-up sign. The universe is talking to you, this and that. Well, you know what? Yeah. So anyway, but you can take that wherever you want with it. And you can take folks that are ready to believe anything. You tell them in a nice, cool, fancy sounding way. You can take them wherever you want. So anyway, to me, the 1111 thing. Picture the two 11s. You have two pillars. In the middle of those two pillars, you have two dots. To me, I picture, it can be picture something like this. Pillar, 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 pillar. These pillars represent the DNA. If you put strands in your mind or whatever, it's the DNA of my mother and father that came together that then created a spark that made me. Now, knowing that, I am in the center of those two pillars. Now, I am the dots. And those dots are the resonance of my mind and the resonance of my heart energy. And that's what creates the dielectromagnetic toroidal field that's kind of at your core that makes the torus field of energy that people like to say is the bubble and this and that. And it's real. It's just been horribly misdescribed constantly. And that's the ether. So, that's where all energy really comes from. And that's where all of those four aspects of physicality, air, earth, wind and fire. They all exist in that fifth ether that is time-space. Everything's just been horribly divided, misconstrued, misexplained, all kinds of stuff. Again, this is just my humble opinion on things. So with the 11:11 thing anyway, realizing that and tying it with the Hopi Prophecy, if you place a color on each pillar, well, you could put a pillar to each race, so to speak, each group of folk. The red folk, the yellow folk, the white folk, the black folk, and arrange those pillars however you want. It doesn't matter. Put the same strands of DNA in between because of the intermingling. We're all the same thing. And we all make up in that middle, that resonance. That is the spark of our spirit. That's where it lives. That's where you find it. It's inside. People will draw you outside to find your spiritual self all day long, and they'll happily charge you money for it. It exists here, in tandem with here. Linked, that energy linked and synced throughout your spine and your organs inside and how they all resonate. You know, it's that simple. But it's also that deep and that profound. And that's how deep and profound each individual is. All on their own, all at the same time. Just people have been led to believe this, that, or the other to make them think they're less than themselves. But to me, when I look out now at just how things are going on, why is it? I know why. It's the environment, it's the society, it's what's been created around us that has us in this state we're in now, where we see so many grown adults acting like mental and spiritual children. I was one for a long time. So I am not pointing the finger, because I pointed at myself so hard, I don't dare point at anyone else now. And that's what it took for me. But anyway, being able for me to see these things, how they tie together and how we're all the same and how we're all indeed that profound all at the same time. And we have all this knowledge, all this experience collectively as individuals, where we could see that this time right now that's happening, this is that time. This is that end of times. This is that time of this or that prophecy of where, yeah, we should be coming together, but not in the way as advertised. When you go inside and you find yourself fully and you get centered and balanced, you'll see that the advertisements are the problem. The advertisements are what's keeping everyone divided from themselves, within themselves and then outside themselves. And it keeps them constantly focused outward. And because of that constant inner turmoil of having that hole within them that they haven't filled, because they haven't found themselves fully, because they don't know it exists yet, whoever they are. I was one of them. Constantly look outward to fill that hole. Constantly looking outward anywhere to fill that hole, because you don't understand quite what it is. And it's just going inside, and it's you. It's your soul. It's where you come from. It's your spirit. It's your connection to infinity, if you will. And it's just that simple. And once you find that spot and realize that it's there, and then you realize you have a finite time here to explore that spot, once you realize it, a whole new world opens up, a whole new one. And it's something, when you can see it, when you can read it, when you can feel it, when you can see and read through all the layers of language and deception, and you can see the meaning in images, in sigils, in numbers, and how they're used, and how they've been used, and how things have been used to so horribly divide folk. You'll see this reality in a whole new way from a centered, balanced spot, and you can read it like an open book. And once you can read it like that, you'll see that this book is the same story playing out over and over and over. you'll also see that that exact same story, that center point story, that hero's journey, that whole thing is playing out for each one of us. Any story you want, any myth you want, however you want to take it, look deep inside and you'll find the connections, I'm sure, in your experience and then in yourself. You'll find all these connections to everything. But it takes that quiet, non-distracted state of peace you have to find within yourself to start, or to go further, or to go deeper, or to continue to develop, because it is a continuous process. And I would say today it's a necessity for everyone out there not to wait anymore. To me, that there's no more time to wait. Of course, once you realize the horrible fake construction of what has become time and how it is to be looked at and considered, you'll see what I mean. Yeah, there's no time. You have a limited amount of time in this physical existence to go through a physical, mental, and spiritual journey. And you can complete the mental and physical journey as quickly as you want. It's not directly tied to your physical body. But you have to do it while you have a physical body to fully experience this, because this is a learning experience as far as I can tell. And it's a very deep learning experience, but it's one that you can complete on your own inside, because you already have all the keys you need in there. Everyone, you're born with it. That was the spark you came with. Just have to find it again, then you'll realize, and then you'll start to really realize, and then you'll realize more, and then you'll know that you're more. Then you'll know everyone else is more too. Then everything just starts to make sense. The whole natural law thing, the non-aggression principle, but while also understanding the need for protection, the protection of self and other in a morally right way in line with nature, you'll see it all. You'll see that nothing has to be created like it's been. We don't need all of these different rules and laws. Once you just get in line with natural law and that natural knowledge that exists within each of us and is directly tied to out there. Not joking, but I won't get into it. So, just saying we're all connected. Just saying it can all be done. Just saying it doesn't take a disaster to change things. Just takes a bit of internal work, and for me it was getting rid of a lot of internal baggage and misconceptions and beliefs. Ooh, beliefs. And I won't even get started on theories. If it's coming from outside you somewhere, it's probably misleading you somewhere. Yeah, it's a good spot.